So let's begin this section on graphing absolute value equations. Now the first thing we could do is maybe write something down up here, something very basic. Let's write this down. Absolute value functions, when graphed, look like a V. Looks like a V. It's kind of like two lines that form a V. It has either a lowest point or a highest point. Now, if you're watching this video at home, I recommend you pause it and read all this carefully and slowly. This is the form that we need to get used to. Kind of like y equals mx plus b. Y equals a absolute value x minus h plus k. Now, when you memorize this form, you'll be able to see the h and the k. And what is h and k? H and k, notice this in coordinates. If you take the h value and the k value, that will give you your lowest or your highest point of your v, of your absolute value function. Okay? And depending on if it opens up or down. Now, here's the tip. Something very important. You need to think opposite on h and take k for what it is. Now, if we look at this, there's a minus sign in front of the h. Minus means opposite. So whatever number you see right here, think opposite when you identify h and take k for what it is. And this h and this k, thinking opposite and taking it for what it is, will give you your highest or lowest point of your v. It's like the vertex. As a matter of fact, h and k is the vertex when we get to parabolas. But h here and k here, when you think opposite on h, take k for what it is, that gives you your highest or lowest point. That's the point where you start at. Now let me just jump ahead onto one of these questions. Let me see, jump way down here. So on number 11, what would my h and k value be on number 11? Would it be 3, 3? Or what would it be? You got to think opposite on h. So that's going to be what? Negative 3, and take k for what it is, 3. So that's the coordinate that you're going to start looking at on the graph, okay? But let's not worry about that right now. Let's just, let me delete this guy. Just for kicks, what's my h and k right here on number 13, just for kicks? Negative 1 and negative 3, perfect, okay. Just for kicks, wait. Why doesn't that? Let me get at that. Okay, here we go. Just for kicks, what would this h and k value be? What number's in here with x minus what number is in here? 0, right, 0. So 0 and 1 would be, now you could say negative 0, but that would be pointless because it's still 0, right? So that would be your coordinate that you start off right there. Make sense? Okay, so I think we understand how to find h and k. H and k is simply, what's your h and k right there? 2 and negative 3, perfect. You think opposite on this guy, you take this one for what it is. Okay, h and k right there? Negative 1 and positive 2, perfect. So that's the most important part of this thing, identifying h and k. Okay? What else could we think about? Or what other facts are there when we know this form up here? It says if A is positive, then it's going to open up. The V shape will be opening up if A is positive. If the number outside in the front is positive, it's opening up. What if there is no number out here? Then that means it's a 1, which is positive, which means that it's opening up, correct? If it's negative, then it's opening down, like this. It'd be a V opening down. You guys understand that? If A is positive, it's opening up. If A is negative, it's opening down. Okay? H and K, like I said, that we just identified, it's super important. Why? Because that's where you begin your graph. You go to your H and K coordinate and you put a dot right there. And from that point, you're going to rise and run. And you're thinking, wait, I don't see M. Where's my M value? Where's my slope? Rise and run. Well, A is kind of like your slope. Rise over run. Okay? So let me ask you this. What would my h and k value be right here on this guy? 0, 0, right? So my h and k value says 0, 0, because it's really x minus 0 and then on the outside plus 0. So that would be my highest or lowest point. Okay, so let me put a dot right there. And now from that point, I could look at my slope, which is really like the A that's outside in front. And what's outside in front right here? Oh, let me ask you this. First of all, is it positive or negative out here in the front? Positive. So I know it's opening up, a V that's opening up. But more importantly, what fraction is out here in the front? 1 over 1, right? So you're going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. The only thing that's different than graphing y equals mx plus b in this one is you don't draw a line like this. Because we said that hk, which is this guy, hk, is your lowest point. So you're going to have the graph going like this, but instead of going down here, it's going to go like this and then bounce back up this way. So let me use my slope, which is 1 over 1. And I want to go 1 over 1, 1 over 1, 1 over 1. Now, my other option is to use that same slope, but running in the opposite direction. Or you could also just map it right across. This is through the vertex, through your HK value is the axis of symmetry, which means 1 unit away, you could go 1 unit away. But if you want to use the slope, but in the other direction, go for it. Whatever you prefer. But the bottom line is we're done here. This is your graph. That's the V. You guys got it? Now, right here on the actual instructions, I say use an XY table. I wanted you to actually think about, okay, any graph could be done with the XY table. If you plug in -2 into the absolute value function, your input's -2, what's your output going to be? It's going to be +2. If your input's 0, what's your output? +0, right? +2, also +2. But when you graph the coordinates, this is what you get. So if we understand h and k, and we understand the slope that's out in the front, we'll be able to graph these very quickly and easily. Check it out. Number 2, what's my h and k value? 0, -2. Let's go to 0, -2. 0 on the x, -2 on the y. Let's put a dot right there. Let me zoom in a little more. Okay, and now from that point, what's my slope? Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Now I could keep going forever. Now the only difference is normally I would draw a line and I would go this way also, but I know that this is a V-shaped curve and HK is my highest or lowest point. Now how do I know that? Well, this is positive, so it's opening up, so I know it has to bounce back up with this same pattern. Or you could just say 1 unit away, 1 unit away, and put a dot right there. You could say 1, 2 units away, 1, 2 units away, and put a dot right there. Right? Or you could, like I said, you could keep going with the pattern. This one was up 1 over 1, so you could go up 1 over 1 this way, this way, this way, and put another one right there. Bottom line is you have your V-shaped graph. You're done. You see, it's easy. Okay, let's move on to something more challenging. Oh no, let's take a look at 3. What's your h and k right there? 2 and 0. You got to think opposite on h. Good job. So here's 2 and 0. Is this your highest point or your lowest point? It's your lowest point because it's opening up. What's the pattern? What's the slope? Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. You could go the same slope the other way. Up 1 over 1 the other way. Draw your V. You're done. Moving on. You might have an H and a K, right? But bottom line, it's all done the same way. How about number 5? Let's jump to number 5. What's the H and K right there? 2 and -3. Piece of cake. Let's go to 2. Let's go to -3. That's the dot right there at 2 and -3. What's the slope? Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1 the other way. And you're probably thinking, man, this is easy, because it's always just up 1 over 1. Well, that's not always the case. Let's take a look up here. Let's take a look at, that one. What's the H and K right there? H and K. 0, 0. There's my 0, 0. What do I do from that point? Up 1 over what? 2. So up 1 over 2 is over here. Up 1 over 2 is over here. let me go up 1 over 2 in the other direction, and up 1 and over 2 in the other direction, and I get this still a V, but it's just wider. Whoa, that was kind of ugly. It's just wider. So yeah, the slope affects how the V looks. It might be wider, it might be narrower, depending on your slope. What do you think this one's going to be, wider or narrower? If your slope is up 3 over 1 from 0, 0, it's definitely going to be narrower. It's going to be a very narrow V. Okay? Let's go to one that has let's go with number 9 here. What's your H and K? Positive 1, thinking opposite on H, and positive 3, taking K for what it is. Let's go to 1, 3. Here it is. From this point, what do I do? It's negative 1 over 1, right? So I'm going to actually go, instead of going up 1 over 1, because it's negative 1 over 1, it's down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. So I need to put those dots, down 1, down like that. And I know that it doesn't go up forever. It actually bounces back down. So I'm going to use the same pattern in the other direction. And just put your arrows, and you're done. So if you understand slope, the only difference is you got to find H and K and then go with your slope from that H and K value and then bounce it back up in the other direction. Let's go to something more fun, kind of like number 11. Once again, what's the H and K? We already said it. Negative 3, thinking opposite on H, and K, taking it for what it is, negative 3, 3. So if we go to negative 3 and 3, we're up here. And what's my slope from that point? Down what? Down 2 over 1. So I'm going to go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. I could go as far as I want. I need to do the same, but in the other direction. But remember, it doesn't go up. It actually bounces back down. So I need to use that same pattern, but in the other direction. So I'm going to go down 2 over 1 this way, down 2 over 1 this way. And we're already off the graph. Draw that. And I think it's safe to say that we know how to graph absolute value functions. Emphasis on the value, right? Because it's a V-shaped graph. Okay, that was cheesy, but hopefully it'll help you remember it's a V-shaped graph. One more minute of your time here, one more minute. What if I asked you for domain and range of this guy? What's the domain and range of number 11? Let's actually write that down, because I will ask you this on the quiz tomorrow. The domain, in terms of x, does it go to the left forever? Does it go to the right forever? Yeah, so what is domain? All real numbers. Okay, how about the range? Range is the y values up and down. Does it go up forever? No. Does it go down forever? Yes. Y is less than, is this an open dot or solid dot? Less than or equal to, right? So the range, you're going to say y is less than or equal to 3. And that's going to be on there for sure, because it's pretty straightforward. Is it going in both directions forever for range? I mean for domain, for x. Is it going in both directions? No, so you'll be able to determine your domain and range easily like that. Let's practice with one more that we already did. Let's go to this guy up here. What would your domain be right there? What would your domain be right there? X equals all real numbers. How about the range? What's the range going to be? Y is greater than or equal to 0. Why? Because here's your lowest point on y, and everything's above this lowest point, 0. So the range is y is greater than or equal to 0. Are you guys getting this? How about last one here? What about this guy right here? What's the domain? All real numbers, correct. And how about the range? Y is greater than -2, and it's greater than or equal to -2, because it's all above this line right here. And it's all above it, right? So that's greater than or equal to.